Right, I'm just going to take the hot end out of this. This is the Raise 3D Pro 2 Plus. I had some problems with it. I realised that my fan's conked out. So the way that these things basically work is the heater block's in there. You should have this silicon sock on in place. So this gets really hot, but underneath, behind this fan, is a heat sink in there. Is a heat sink. The fan, there it's going now. The fan blows cold air onto that heat sink, and it's critical that this is all working properly. So that means that the heat sink goes around the throat. So the throat is cooled by the heat sink, which has this air blowing onto it. As the filament is extruded down, the throat, the cooling from the heatsink and the fan keep it cool enough, and then it goes in, it flows into the hot end, and it all extrudes fine. This design, the heatsink is absolutely tiny. I think it's the smallest. I mean, I've been printing for, I don't know, about 5 years with MakerBot, and these two, we've got the Pro Plus 2 and the E2, and this hot end has by far the smallest heatsink. So these side fans, these coolers, are for for filament. This is the filament cooling, and this front one is for the throat heatsink cooling. So the first thing you do is take, I've done that wrong anyway. You don't have to actually do that. I'm sorry. It's these ones at the top here. I mean, what I would say with these 3D printers is the more, I'm sorry if the video is not so good. So let's take this. Okay, so then that side bit comes off. There's no need, I just needed to do those two screws. So we've got our little sock here. Leave it around there. So then we take a small Allen key. Oh no, we don't. Let me think. Sorry. Right. There's another. If you can see that socket there, that's the one. So what I've done, I'll just tell you what I've done actually. Before I do that, actually, what I'm going to do is this is up to temperature for an unloading sequence. So I'm going to unload. I'm unloading this. This isn't actually blocked at the moment, but okay. So we can see it's extruding. It's extruding okay, but I'm not happy with it. Anyway, I'm going to check that I got it right. So now it loads a bit and then it extrudes. Best thing is to let it come up on its own. Don't jerk it out. If you jerk it out, it will you get a blob of filament on the end, which will get caught up on the top. Okay, so that's just come out quite nicely now. So the filament's up to temperature, so I'll stop. That's enough of the unloading. So now what we'll do is we'll drop oh, come on. Releasing that one off. What that'll do is that'll drop out the hot end, and then you can see this little, this little tiny heatsink. That's what the fan blows onto. So that's the only thing that's keeping this, cooling this down. Now you just end up with burnt fingers pretty much. I'm getting some. These socks are important. Quite often people leave them off, but it does help. So I'm up to temperature now. What you really need to do is then, well, if you want to take the nozzle out, a lot of people, even when they're learning about this, the nozzle's got to be hot. It's got to be hot when you take the nozzle out. In fact, I'm not happy that mine's absolutely as it should be, so I'm going to drop the nozzle out anyway. I find this is probably as good a way as any. There, when he's up to temperature, it'll come out so much easier, obviously. But like a lot of these things, a lot of this isn't so obvious until you've been through it. So I just thought this might help a few people. The raised videos aren't bad, but there you go. There's a 0.6 nozzle actually. I like larger nozzles depending. Got a big printer, you probably able to print with big nozzles really. I mean, we've had this machine for about 3 years, and I like this as a hardened 0.6 nozzle. Okay, so I'm gonna just I'm gonna switch the temperature off on the nozzle, because you just end up sort of burning your fingers quite a bit. But then the next stage is a tiny little, there's a small Allen key plug screw. I mean, I to be honest, I think, and that was loose actually, that probably explains why a lot of people insert thermal paste in this item within here. This needs to be a really tight fit, and to be honest, yeah, I don't know, I've seen people modify this. This is part of the reason I'm looking at any modifications to this. This heatsink's too small. And then I'm going to take out my throat tube as well. We can actually, while he's still hot, I'll just turn them up a bit. It's always nice to, these comes with the raised kit, which is quite nice. It's about the most useful tool that you'll ever have. But you can see there, you just get a bit of filament on the end. Now there is a way of, I just saw there is a cold pull material, that nylon I think it is, that you can clean out the insides of these things, which sounds quite interesting if different filaments clog up the inside of this throat. So this is where this is where the Pro 2 clogs up. As I say, the cooling's not sufficient on this component, so so heat creeps up from the heater block to this point, which softens the filament. The filament expands and hits the inside of this throat, which causes your jam. That's nearly, it's often at that point. So again, other manufacturers will put flats for a spanner on there, but not these guys. So I'm going to look at the recommended spacings. It's very important how these components are put back together in terms of height, which I won't do now. I'll do that. Right, that just comes out there. Right, so that's sort of the disassembly of the raised Pro 2 Plus Hotend.